Evening, everyone. It's 5:55 on Tuesday, the 9th, and this is your closing comment, and the video is number 664. And as I always ask, if you like the work, please hit the subscribe button, or like us, or get notifications. It all helps. Okay, so today was exactly what I expected it to be. I told you last night that we were not only oversold in the NASDAQ, but yesterday's NASDAQ internals, with the market down over 300, were actually 1-to-1, which showed internal strength, as many up as down. Today we had the opposite. We had the Dow up about 300, and it closed up only 30, up 0.1%, and the advanced declines there was still positive, 1.5-to-1. But on the NASDAQ, we closed up 464.67, 3.7%, and the internals there were 2.8-to-1, so almost 3-to-1, and volume was slightly higher. I didn't think it was supportive of a almost 4% move, but it did increase a touch. The S&P was up 54.09, or 1.4%, and the Russell was up 1.9%, or 42.08, and the transports had relatively a quiet day, up 66.22, or just under 0.5%. Information technology and consumer discretionaries were the leaders, and energy, financials, industrials, and consumer staples were the weak sisters. Over on the Dow, we actually had 16 stocks down and 14 stocks up. The big leader was Boeing, but not by very much. Boeing added 43 Dow points. Microsoft, though, was right behind it, adding 42. And Home Depot, which has also gotten hit pretty hard, was up 38 Dow points. Over on the loser side, Disney down 49 Dow points, which was about $6.50 after yesterday's $12 move to the upside. American Express down 34 Dow points, and CAT right behind it, down 32. So not an overwhelming day. But the big list, which is what I went through last night and gave you all of those lower numbers today, really added something back. Google was only up 32.86, but Google is a lot closer to its high than any of these others. Amazon was up 114, or 3.9%. Apple was up 479, or 4.1%, as was Facebook, 4.1%, which was $10.43. Netflix up 14.17, or just under 3%. Nvidia, which has gotten pounded, up 39.63, or 8.5%. And Tesla was up 120, or 21.4%. Baba was up about 12, so 5.25%. Baidu was up 31, or 13.3%. And while I'm not going to go into all the individual names, the work from home stocks were up 4.7%. The pot stocks were up 7.7%, and the XRT, which is retail, was up 3.35%. However, I have to warn you on the XRT that includes GameStop for whatever reason, and GameStop has warped that index dramatically. Most of the retail stocks, some of the big retail stocks were up, at least half were down, and Walmart was up a small fraction after getting pounded every day for the last week and a half. So not too excited there. I also want to make a comment about the airlines. The airlines in general were down today, and rightly so. They are without any question one of the crappiest groups that there is. They have taken on massive debt, and of late, they've been trying to pay off debt by dramatically increasing their outstanding through offerings. These are companies that will not make money well into the future, if at all. And you can be sure that the government, having loaned them all that money, is not going to allow any buybacks. So that little trick is out the window, which of course makes me somewhat skeptical of the number one leading stock today, Boeing. These airlines are not going to have money. They're not going to be able to borrow very much money because there will be covenants on them. And if you're not making profits, you can't pay your bills. And when you increase the outstanding by 20, 30, even 50%, and they're not done yet, and the money hasn't cost them anything up until now, you do not generate the kind of profits that they're going to need. This will be an industry that will have to go through consolidation, and while that may be very exciting for, investment bankers, for the equity holders, I think not so much. For the operating companies, I think not so much. Okay, so there's my little tirade on the airlines, and anybody who listens to me knows that I've been saying this now for 6 or 8 months. These companies do not deserve to be getting free money to support themselves after all of their self-enrichment. Okay, and one last, this is without question one of the strangest stories, although in this market, I guess I can't really say that. Exela, E-X-E-L-A, the symbol for which is X-E-L-A, is a small company. The stock closed $1.65 yesterday, and it was reversed in late January, 1 for 3. So 165 is really a little bit closer to 55 cents. They reported this morning that they got a new contract from, quote, a healthcare provider. Couldn't name it, or didn't name it, or they didn't allow them to name it, for $90 million over a 10-year period. 90 million, keep this number in mind, for 10 years. $9 million a year. The average daily volume on this stock coming into today was 4.4 million shares a day. Today, it has traded almost 500 million shares, or 1,200% increase in volume, and the stock is currently trading at $6.66, up $5.01, or 304%. In real terms, that means that this company, which came into the day with roughly a $76 million market cap, leaves the day with a $240 million market cap, a gain of $164 million in market cap for a $9 million a year contract. On what planet does that valuation make sense? Well, it makes sense because people are willing to pay it. Dennis has our trader, commodity trader, has a constant argument with me about how, quote, dumb people are making big money in this market. And I guess he's right. People seized on this, and they bought it, and they didn't care it was up 100%, and they didn't care when it was up 200%, and they didn't care when it was up 300%. they are still buying it this afternoon. And so, in extended hours, it continues. Um, but again, somebody will end up being the last one who buys this. We've seen it before. We've seen a lot of these little companies that have been reversed so that their outstanding has been dramatically shrunken, and yet they just continue to buy them. So, it's the same thing with buying Hertz, knowing it's bankrupt, or when people traded General Motors a couple of years ago, even though it was bankrupt, even though they ended up losing 100 cents on the dollar. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Excella, but unless they start doing a lot more business, it's certainly not going to have $250 million market cap coming from roughly 33% of that just yesterday. Okay, the chart on the screen is the gold, and the gold was up strongly, as I mentioned again with Dennis, Friday and yesterday. This market had moved to its Fibonacci retracement numbers. It was dramatically oversold. It was down 9 of the last 10 days. As I pointed out this morning, it had come from, over 1800, 1815, all the way down here to yesterday's low of 1673, so 125 bucks. And today it turned right back to the upside, was never down on the day, and finished the day up here at 1714. Up 38.90, so a nice return there. We actually are long some silver calls. We were out money on them. Today we're a little over even on them, having seen them move from about 50 cents to about 72 cents. The other one that clearly broke out today, it's going to be hard to question this one, is the Bitcoin. And Bitcoin today closed 54,720, up almost 2,600. But more importantly, when I pointed this out over the weekend, I said I can't buy it until it closes above this 53,000 level or below this 45,000 level, and clearly it did today. The all-time high close, I believe, pull it up for you, all-time high close right here, 52,340 back on February, 55,530 was up 31.90 that day, and that was February 19th. Made a higher high the next day and closed down and traveled lower. Today closed 54,720. It's not a new high close, but it is clearly a breakout above all of this congestion here between 53 and 54,000. If it extends up tomorrow, a close over this will probably send this well into the 68 to 70,000 level. All right, everyone, have a good evening. I'll be back first thing in the morning. Don't buy airlines. And frankly, I think there's a lot of underlying weakness here. I do think that the market is going higher. I still think that the NASDAQ stocks are going higher. They certainly are still oversold and well off their highs still. But, don't be the last one to buy those either. Use stops and be careful out there. It is tough and going to get tougher.